this man goes back to Chechnya, sucks off a dictator, sucks him off. He was collected on. And then he goes and sells a Bitcoin scam. Chimaev can fight, but sir, you are not a man. The world knows you as not a man. You will never be a man, you little Chechnyan.
Hire some extra people because Sean Strickland is about to burn the house down. The warning was clear and the target was locked. UFC 328 isn't just a title fight, it is a ticking time bomb that the promotion might not be able to contain. Strickland looked at the camera and told the world exactly what was coming. He did not mince words and he did not hold back. The security detail in Newark is going to have their hands full because the bad blood here is not just for the cameras. It is visceral, it is personal, and it is going to be absolute chaos before the first bell even rings. You better have a pair of scissors ready for the microphone cord.
Why are they wrong?
Ask that guy who was beating you up every day in the gym, huh? So, how many times I submit that guy? How many times I beat him up? He went to his coach, man. He went to his coach, please tell the guy, man, go easy, go easy. And the guy going with this different, he said, like, I went crazy with the guys who was going 166 or this shit, man. He's lying, man. He's lying. He trying to, like, he say, I'm man, I'm this, I'm that. I'm against the game. He's trying to be some macho, man. You're not macho, man. When I punch you hard, you went to your coach and said, please tell the guy, go easy, easy. Oh, fuck off, man. What are you talking about? I beat you up. Was running from me. I've been in his home, man. I've been in his gym. Nobody never comes to my gym and try to beat me up, you know.
The official announcement has sent shockwaves through the MMA world as Khamzat Chimaev prepares to defend his middleweight title against Sean Strickland on May 9th. This is the collision everyone has been begging for, but nobody is ready for the fallout. Strickland has already started the mental warfare, labeling his opponent in ways that would make most PR teams quit on the spot. He is calling out the champion's ties to controversial figures and questioning his very manhood. This isn't just about a belt anymore. It is about two completely different worlds clashing in a cage. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and the UFC is bracing for impact.
The biggest matchup, Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland was asking for it after his win against Anthony Hernandez. Poor Nassourdine Imavov. No one cares, buddy. It is bad for Nassourdine Imavov because he is very deserving, but I guess they are taking into consideration the fact that Sean Strickland has a win over Nassourdine Imavov. You know, a lot of people were trashing Sean Strickland about his fighting ability before the Anthony Hernandez fight, including Nassourdine Imavov as well. He was trashing Strickland, saying this guy's complete trash, this guy's garbage. And I even put a tweet out saying, this guy beat you on a week's notice. You know, Strickland has some solid wins, and they're definitely coming into play here.
Strickland's verbal assault is reaching levels we have never seen before in the Octagon's history. He is dragging Chimaev's personal life into the light, accusing him of selling out to dictators for luxury cars. According to Sean, the champion is nothing more than a whore who bends the knee for a G-Wagon in Chechnya. He didn't stop there, bringing up Bitcoin scams and claiming the US government views Khamzat as a legitimate threat. It is a level of character assassination that transcends the sport. Strickland wants the world to know he sees right through the tough guy act, and he is ready to expose what he calls a fake persona on the biggest stage possible.
So, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird what the UFC did with Chimaev. You brought a guy in that fights once a year who's like Madonna, who probably gets like, you know, I mean, how much money does that dictator give him under the table? Like, the guy doesn't need to fight, dude. He's best friends with a warlord. He's just going to sit on that belt and wait until they force him to fight. But yeah, now the middleweight division, man, like from a pure money perspective, you would make more money not fighting for the belt than you would fighting for the belt. Say Chimaev goes and fights Nassourdine in 6 months. Well, let's say Chimaev springs his pinky like he normally does. Now he takes another year off. So it's like you're off for 2 years. The belt isn't even like, it's not even in my brain anymore. I don't even think about it. Like, I'll make significantly more money just fighting. You say, hey, you want to wait a year and a half and like not fight, or just keep fighting and fighting good guys and maybe taking an L? I'll just go fight good guys, maybe take an L, and I'll triple my pay. I'll just say Fluffy beats me and like, you know, Fluffy want you for a title fight. Well, I mean, he's going to fight Nasruddin in probably, what, 6 months? Fights Nasruddin, say they have a hard fight, or even if they have an easy fight, he springs his pinky toe, he's out for another 8 months. So, like, Fluffy, you're not fighting for a year and a half if you want to wait for that. And I'm sure you would, but it's like, me personally, I don't give a give me my paycheck. I want to go fight. Every fight, dude, the guy's like, I broke my hand. Dude, I have an x-ray. Want to see it? Like, my shoulder is broken. It's like every time this guy fights, he has a mysterious injury. It's just, why wait?
The history between these two isn't just talk. It is rooted in a series of tense real-life encounters that almost ended in violence. Strickland shared a story about a time he made fun of a Chechenian fighter and received a threatening message from Chimaev. Instead of backing down, Sean told him to show up at 3 o'clock the next day, gloves or no gloves. He claims Khamzat never showed and never answered, eventually trying to talk it out later. This narrative of Chimaev being a no-show when things get real is a central part of Strickland's psychological game. He wants everyone to believe the feared Boers is actually a man who avoids true confrontation.
Sean Strickland fired off about Khamzat Chimaev, calling their potential matchup one of the biggest fights in the division. He said fans want a real showdown on American soil.
But that was just the beginning of the accusations flying from the Strickland camp. Sean is positioning himself as the last true American in the sport, fighting against what he describes as a foreign interloper. He believes the fans want to see a real showdown on American soil against someone he calls a little Chechnyan whore. The rhetoric is extreme, but it is designed to create a massive divide. Strickland isn't just fighting for a title, he is fighting for a narrative. He claims he is the only one in the entire division capable of stopping the Chimaev hype train, and he is willing to go to the death to prove that he is the superior man in every single way.
Strickland also hits back and mocks Khamzat for the gym stories, where he claims he has defeated the middleweight champion many times.
Khamzat Chimaev isn't staying silent in the face of these brutal insults. He laughed off the comments, claiming that all of Strickland's anger comes from a place of deep insecurity. According to the champion, the reason Sean is so mad is because of what happened when they trained together behind closed doors. Khamzat claims he didn't just spar with Strickland, he dominated him and choked him out multiple times. He views Sean's constant talking as a defense mechanism to cope with the fact that he was beaten up in his own environment. To Khamzat, this is just a game of a man who knows he is outclassed trying to find a way to stay relevant.
However, Ilya Topuria predicts that Khamzat Chimaev would decisively beat Sean Strickland in a potential matchup, describing Chimaev as an exceptional fighter with the skills to control and dominate the fight.
By the way, Khamzat, what do you think about Khamzat?
The narrative took a dark turn when Khamzat shared his side of their history from behind closed doors. He claims that during their sparring sessions, he didn't just win, he broke Sean Strickland's spirit. According to the champion, Sean would go to his coach and beg him to tell Khamzat to go easy. He calls Sean's macho man image a complete facade designed to hide his fear. Chimaev insists that when the punches land hard, the tough talk vanishes and a different man emerges. He wants the world to know that the man who talks the most is often the one who folds the fastest when the pressure becomes unbearable in the training room. Strickland fired back with his own version of those gym stories, painting a very different picture of the champion's character. He claims that every time Chimaev walked into the gym, he would hunt for the smallest and lowest level professionals to bully. Sean says he watched the champion pick people he knew he could dominate just to look like a monster in front of witnesses. In Sean's eyes, Khamzat is a fraud who only fights people when the deck is stacked in his favor. This back and forth about gym dominance has added a layer of mystery to the fight, as fans are left wondering who was actually the hammer and who was the nail during those private sessions. Michael Bisping has weighed in on the madness, admitting that while Strickland is a controversial figure, he absolutely deserves this shot. Bisping pointed to Strickland's dominant performance against Anthony Hernandez as proof that he is at the top of his game. However, even the Count admits that facing a force of nature like Chimaev is a daunting task. The champion is currently undefeated and has looked nearly invincible at times, but Bisping noted that Strickland has a unique way of controlling his opponents. The question remains whether Sean's awkward style and relentless pressure can actually disrupt a wrestler as systematic and powerful as the man from Chechnya. The betting world is also starting to lose its mind over this matchup. Jorge Masvidal has come out with a shocking take, claiming that Chimaev is actually overrated and vulnerable. Masvidal pointed to the Kamaru Usman fight as evidence, noting that a 170-pounder coming off the couch was able to push Khamzat to the limit. Jorge is so confident in Strickland's defensive wrestling that he claimed he is dumping 100 bands of his own money on Sean to win. It is a massive gamble that has people questioning if Masvidal knows something the rest of the world doesn't. He believes Sean's ability to wrestle back will drain Chimaev's gas tank and lead to a late round collapse. Daniel Cormier isn't so sure about Chimaev's invincibility either. He echoed the sentiment that the Usman fight exposed some cracks in the armor. If a welterweight on short notice could stuff takedowns and land punches in the second and third rounds, what can a full-size conditioned middleweight like Strickland do over 5 rounds? DC believes that if the fight stays standing, Strickland takes control and wins a decision. The aura of the boogeyman is starting to fade in the eyes of some veterans, and they see a path to victory that involves making Khamzat work harder than he ever has before in his career. Strickland's coach, Eric Nixick, has been quiet but calculating as he builds the blueprint for this historic upset. He explained that the key to beating Chimaev is disrupting his rhythm and creating doubt early in the fight. Khamzat is a systematic chain wrestler, but Nixick believes that if they can break those sequences and force him to reset, the champion will start to panic. The plan is to make him pay a physical price for every single takedown attempt. They want to turn the cage into a place of misery where the champion's confidence is slowly chipped away until there is nothing left but a tired fighter who doesn't know how to handle the resistance. The controversy doesn't stop with the fighters themselves, as even internet celebrities like Aiden Ross are getting involved. Aiden is so convinced of a Strickland victory that he is ready to wager thousands of dollars on the outcome. However, not everyone is a believer. Ilia Topuria predicts a decisive win for Chimaev, calling him an exceptional fighter who will control and dominate the exchanges. Topuria dismisses the talk of Sean's defense, believing that Khamzat's wrestling is on a completely different level than anything Strickland has ever faced. It is a classic clash of opinions that has split the MMA community right down the middle. Strickland has also attacked Chimaev's inactivity, calling him the Madonna of the UFC. He argued that the middleweight division is being held hostage by a champion who only fights once a year and constantly deals with mysterious injuries. Sean claims he would rather fight more often for less money than sit around waiting for a title shot that might never happen. He questioned how a fighter can be considered the best when they are constantly sidelined by broken fingers or shoulder issues that seem to appear right before big events. To Sean, a real champion is someone who shows up and grinds, not someone who waits for the perfect conditions. While Sean is focused on the champion, there are others lurking in the shadows who claim he is the one doing the ducking. Nassourdine Imavov has been vocal about his desire for a rematch, calling Strickland a clown and claiming he is avoiding a real fight. Imavov argues that while Sean might be ready to get choked by Chimaev because it isn't painful, he isn't ready for the bloody destruction a rematch would bring. He claims that with a proper camp and the right weight class, he would leave Strickland unconscious. It is a reminder that the top of the middleweight division is a Shark Tank, where everyone is looking for a piece of the man with the loudest voice. The personal nature of this beef is what sets it apart from typical UFC rivalries. Imavov described his conflict with Strickland as something that goes beyond the sport, fueled by Sean's remarks about his community and mindset. He says he has a hate in his heart that can only be erased by a victory. This sentiment is echoed by almost everyone who crosses paths with Strickland. He has a way of making things personal that forces his opponents to fight with emotion rather than strategy. If Chimaev falls into that same trap, it could play right into Sean's hands as he thrives in the middle of a chaotic emotional brawl. UFC 328 is shaping up to be more than just a fight. It is a cultural event that will define the future of the 185-pound division. The promotion knows that the press conference alone could break viewership records if they let the microphones stay live. Strickland has promised to go absolutely crazy, and with the history of these two, there is a very real chance that things turn physical before they ever step into the octagon. The security teams are already being briefed, and the tension in Newark is expected to be at an all-time high. It is the kind of chaos that the UFC thrives on, but it is also a dangerous game to play. The styles in this matchup are a fascinating study in contrasts. You have the systematic, high-pressure wrestling of Chimaev against the awkward, defensive striking of Strickland. Most people assume the fight is over the moment it hits the ground, but Sean's teammates insist his wrestling is his best-kept secret. They say he never uses it offensively because he prefers to punch people in the face, but his ability to get back to his feet is elite. If he can force Chimaev to strike for 25 minutes, we might see the biggest upset in the history of the middleweight division. The champion's gas tank has never truly been tested in a 5 5-round war. There is also the factor of the crowd in Newark, New Jersey. Strickland is expecting a massive wave of support as he leans into his last American persona. He wants to turn the arena into a hostile environment for the champion, using the fans to add even more pressure to an already intense situation. Chimaev has fought in hostile territory before, but the level of vitriol coming from Strickland is on another level. This isn't just sport anymore. It is a spectacle of personality and raw aggression. The psychological weight of the moment will be heavy for both men, but only one can leave with the gold around their waist. MMA Guru and other analysts have pointed out that despite the criticism of Strickland's skills, his results speak for themselves. He has consistently beaten guys that people said would destroy him. His win over Israel Adesanya was a masterclass that no one saw coming, and he looks to do the same thing to Chimaev. The consensus is that you can never count a man out who is willing to die in the cage and has the cardio to back it up. Chimaev might be the more talented athlete, but Strickland might be the tougher human being. That distinction is often what decides world title fights when the rounds start to get deep. As the countdown to May 9th begins, the rhetoric is only going to get louder and more offensive. Strickland has made it clear that he doesn't care about the belt as much as he cares about proving a point. He wants to dismantle the image of the unbeatable monster from Chechnya and show the world that anyone can be broken if you hit them hard enough and long enough. Chimaev, on the other hand, is looking to silence the loudest mouth in the business and prove that his dominance is not a fluke. It is a collision course that has been years in the making, and there is no turning back now. The final question remains, can the UFC actually control the chaos they have created? With two fighters who genuinely despise each other and a challenger who has no filter, anything is possible. We have seen press conferences turn into riots before, and this is all the ingredients for another one. The promotion is walking a fine line between promotion and disaster, but for the fans, this is exactly what they want to see. Two of the baddest men on the planet settled a blood feud in front of the entire world. It is the purest form of the sport, stripped of all the corporate polish and left with nothing but raw, unfiltered intensity. The stage is set for a night that will either cement a legacy or destroy a reputation. On May 9th in Newark, the world will finally see if Sean Strickland can back up the most inflammatory trash talk in the history of the sport. It is a battle of ideologies, styles, and raw hatred that has been simmering behind gym doors for years. Whether it is a tactical masterclass or a chaotic brawl, one thing is certain, the middleweight division will never be the same after these two step into the cage. The warnings have been issued and the bets have been placed. Now we just have to wait for the inevitable explosion that is coming for the UFC.